Alrighty, well, let's start with the last of the 3 sleds that we're gonna be dealing with this season. You guys saw the 2 Arctic Cats sitting in the shop in the last video, and of course the one that I rode. But we still have this Yamaha Mountain Max triple out here, which I'm super excited about. And I would have moved it into the shop already by now, but I've got a problem with the track. It is super loose right now. So if you try and drive it, the cog up front that drives the track just skips in place. You guys can see this has way more droop than it's supposed to. At 20 pounds of pressure, these are supposed to have like, I think 3 centimeters or millimeters, I don't know, a really small amount of play in this track. Thankfully, these sleds are super easy to adjust. Normally there's a bolt that you have to access from the back, but on these you just have a release bolt right here, or a release nut, and then you drive that in, and that's going to push a plate that's on the actual wheel mount back there backwards. That's going to tighten that track up, and you guys can see the cog that's up in front there, and those are spinning right inside. They're not catching all of those little rubber knobs that they're supposed to be catching. So hopefully once we get this all tightened up, then I can just easily pull it right up into the shop. This one of course doesn't have reverse, so I'm gonna try and pull it like diagonally across the entrance to the shop, and then I can just shuffle it in. Once we get it onto the concrete, it's a lot easier to move. But let's go get this in, and then we can start working on all of the sleds. Alrighty, well, that makes up the last of my sleds, but you guys remember that in the Mount Spokane trip that we did, my dad's ski got a little bit damaged. Now we have matching ski damage because I damaged mine on the pre-trip. Oh. We got to go get my dad's ski in here too, so that we can take that off. And I think it's just the bushings on it that actually need to be swapped out. Hopefully, let's cross our fingers that that's it. Okay, first item on the agenda for my dad's snowmobile here is this darn snow flap. You guys can hear it all throughout that video, just slapping up against the paddles. The cover that he uses for this sled tucks it in and, you know, kind of deforms it. And you can see right here, this bow mark is kind of where it folds over. So I'm gonna use this piece of wood. I'm gonna hold it, you know, kind of out here-ish. And then I'm probably going to clamp something on these to fold them back in on itself like that. And I'm going to heat it up with a map torch, and hopefully I can get it to freeze back in its original position, because it is just so noisy when it's slapping up against the track. Also, we had no idea, but we just raised up his handlebars. He's got this aftermarket adjustable, I don't know if it's aftermarket, I'm pretty sure it is though, adjustable handlebar raiser. So he was able to get another, like, you know, 1.5 to 2 inches out of it. Still a little short for him, but it's like perfect height for me now. I thought I was gonna have to make a jig for these side crimp bits, but I'm actually kind of just able to mold them around while they're cooling. This should be just about it. Hi, buddy. You can get on the sled. Are all my lugs good? Yeah. Alrighty, that worked out really well. You can see it's a lot more level on the side there now. And then it doesn't come anywhere close to hitting the track. And you can also see there's this plastic backing plate right here. And now that thicker bumper, this little inset here, hits right up against that. So even if it gets pushed in, like that's me pushing it in, it's still not gonna be touching that track. That's awesome. No more of that nonsense. Next on the agenda actually isn't hopping on to any of the other sleds. It's going to involve a torch. My dad spilled some gas all over the side here. I think you guys can see that on the camera. There's all these streaks going down it. The plastic looks super foggy and patchy and weird. And if I take the torch and just lightly go over that plastic, let's do a little sample here. Okay, I'm gonna slowly go over this. We're just gonna heat up the surface of that plastic, especially where that is. Look at that. Alrighty. It's still a little bit foggy, but you guys can see that those streaks were taken right out of it. It's nice and smooth now. It's a lot better than having all those gas streaks going down it like we have on this side. So I'm just gonna lightly go over this fender, and then we also have these 2 little front pieces here on either side. So we got new bushings for my dad's ski. We ended up getting bushings for both, or cushions is what they were called on Partzilla. And they do seem to be metal or like cast metal. They seem more fibrous, but I think since they're like iron or steel, we can just heat up the aluminum and pound them out because there's still a little bit of a ridge on the inside where they're pressed together. On the side that didn't get obliterated but fell apart a little bit, we need to hammer these inner rings out still. And then also we have a new throttle. This bottom bit is like completely broken. You can see that it doesn't go around that pin at all. It's just completely broken off there. So that's why he needed to replace it, and he found a sweet replacement. I thought it was kind of funny. It's got on it with a big Z. Zoom. Should be a nice little replacement. Honestly, I think it kind of looks a little bit more aggressive. Cool. Plus 5 horsepower for sure. This side seems to be good, so I can probably just press those new cushions in there. And then the ones over there, I'm going to have to burn out. There we go. Okay, now I need to fit these in. On the worn side, it was actually not too hard to get them most of the way in, which is not so great, but this side seems to be good shape, but it won't let them in, so I'm gonna heat it up and see what happens. Alrighty, we got that pin inserted back in there. Let's put the ski up. Okay, so now it has good up and down movement and next to no side-to-side wobble at all anymore. That's much better. I don't know if this is just because of the wreck or because the linkage was loose, but if I straighten out my handlebars, this ski is really angled inward. This one's a lot straighter. That one looks good. This one's way cantered in. So if I go down here, this was like loosened up. So I can just rotate this inward and pull that ski back out. Oh, that's loads better. Okay guys, I am so confused. I just leaned up on this, and if you press in the center of the seat, what the heck? Like, it's not like pressure on the sled. What is that even coming from? Is that from the alarm? Oh. Nope, it's still gone. What the heck? Well, I have this partially disassembled. Those two, they look like pins, but they were actually these little screws that went in either end of the throttle level here. Now you guys can see it way better. It's just completely broken off on that end. That end's good. I need to get the wire. You can see it goes into the bottom of this little throttle unit here. So I need to disassemble that. I think I take that screw out and then the front panel comes out. Okay, I took that screw out. Oh, there we go. I got this plate slid out. The little starter button actually slides out, which is pretty cool. And then I need to pop out the yellow, brown, white, and brown wire right there. And then I can fish them back out, take that out, and fish the new ones back in and through. And then I can seal it all back up, and this one will be ready to rock and roll. We already got the first part threaded through. You can see the thumb throttle will go just like that. We'll hook the actual cable up, and then the wires go in through the bottom here. And before it goes to this bare wire, it'll dump right into this boot right here and then go back to this plug. Alrighty, now we've got the wires all tucked away, plugged in. Now I just gotta fix this into place and actually connect all of this together. Beauty, that's ready to go. Very good. Let's start with picking up the black Arctic Cat because we are having some snow scratcher problems on here. For those of you who don't know, the engine on a snowmobile like this is water cooled, and the water gets cooled by snow getting kicked up. When you're on trails, we have snow scratchers that dig into the snow and kick up more snow to cool it, and if you don't have these operational, it will overheat your sled. And the one on the far side, right over here, is totally broken. Good job for pointing that out, buddy. My dad got a set of cable scratchers before he installed the dual coil scratchers on his. So I do have a set of these that I can put on here. However, I can't put them in the original spot, so I'm just going to unbolt these and take them out. And then I'm going to bolt this in just about right there, just like that. And then I gotta, realign this thing. I think that is going to be my placement for my snow scratchers. And then I'll be able to bend this and probably notch it right there. Step one, I need to get a hole drilled so that I can actually fit the hardware through this thing. Actually, you know what, that's step two. Step one, let's get the old hardware off. And also, I think this track needs to be tightened. This thing is drooping a ton. Okay, there's ice scratcher numero uno. So that comes out and I can just leave that open. I'm not gonna use that anymore because I'm gonna be drilling that new hole right there. This will actually be pretty interesting because I've got two almost identical sleds. We'll have a sled with your coil style scratcher and one with a cable scratcher to see how they work comparatively. So interesting little test we've got going on here. Marvel, what's wrong, buddy? I want to measure how far I want to make this in. I think I want to make it like basically an inch back. Cool, now I can go grab a drill. Okay, then this goes right through here. Where'd that wrench go? Okay, now we're getting the far side tightened down. Let's see, I want to make sure that these are going at the same angle. That'll just about do. Alrighty, now we got both of those installed and they just tuck up right into this slot here. And then when you want to take it out, just pull out there, pops down and drags in the snow. And you just plop it back in there. Make sure it gets in place, and it's ready for the powder. Let's get this puppy back on the ground. There we go. If you watched the Priest Lake video, you'll remember that these things just came off. So there's nothing I need to do to them. I just need to reinstall them. So I'm gonna pick up the back end of this sled too, just to make that nice and easy, and put these back on. And that's really all that I need to do on this one immediately. However, at some point I really want to tackle the steering on this because it definitely has some wobble to it, and I wish that was a little bit firmer, but otherwise this sled is in really good condition. The guy that I got this sled from said that the gas was bad in here, which starts up just fine, but just to be safe, I'm gonna pump the gas out of here and then we'll put brand new ethanol-free gas in it. And that'll be it for this sled. Alrighty, we've got a little gravity siphon going here. The tube is not huge diameter, so this might take a while, but should be slowly draining. I gotta switch this to a new source because it's about to overflow and there's still a decent bit of gas in there. Let's get that switched over before I make a mess. And lastly, for this one, I want to take the spark plugs out and get a compression test done just to make sure that all the cylinders are still sealed good. And then I might end up taking off the carburetors because there was one time where it like started up on like, I don't know in which order, but it was clearly running on like one cylinder, then two, then three, and it was a bit of a slow startup. So I'm worried about this thing on really cold days. I'll decide after getting a compression test done. All right. Okie dokie, got the compression tester kit out, I'm about to check, but I also noticed that we are like literally out of oil. So I am going to get some oil in this thing, and then I kind of wanted to get some oil in the cylinders because honestly, like pulling it feels a little stiff, which is worrisome. But I don't want to do like a wet down compression test. I want to do a dry compression test first. Maybe I'll just top off the oil and then maybe put like a little bit of oil in there, or just send it. And then we can officially see if the cylinders are good. Where's the gabagool? Well, now that I've spilled very expensive oil, it's time to get some tests going on. That cylinder is honestly not great. It's 100 PSI. It's not terrible. Let's check the next one. That one's a little bit better, but that one felt easier to pull, which is odd. That one felt like hard to pull, like the compression was adding a lot of resistance. Last one. Yeah, 110. Well, the spark plugs were definitely a little bit fouled, and I got those cleaned off. So I'm gonna hold off on taking out the carburetors for now, and let's get a run in on this up on the mountain before I decide whether those are gonna behave in cold weather or not. Got everything cleaned up, got the cylinders and spark plugs checked, and we still have our spares over here. We got oil in it, coolant seems good, track is tightened up, so next step for this one is just driving it. I was super sad that I didn't get any footage when I pulled this thing into the shop because it just sounds so gnarly. Let's see how good it starts up now. I've unfouled the spark plugs. I've got choke on, key is in the on position. Okay, should start up with one pull maybe. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Snow is on its way, as you guys can see. Getting a little bit of fall down here and even more up on the mountain. I do believe all the sleds are just about ready to go. I want to do a Mount Spokane trip and test out the Black Arctic Cat and the Mountain Mac, either before or after that. I know there's another priest trip coming up with even more guys. We'll have Casey's family and maybe my dad joining, so that will be a lot of fun. We'll be able to make a much better path going with that many people, and hopefully we'll have more time to explore and play around in that basin that we found, because it looks super fun, but we were never able to climb down into it. Keep your eye out for that video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Do you like the snow, buddy? Little goofball. He's got snow all over him. Yeah.